developments that will fundamentally transform the character of this county has increased exponentially. If successful and completed to the fullest, industrial developers will have covered approximately 18,000 acres or 3.6% of the county in solar farms, built 2 to 4 utility-scale natural gas power plants, almost a dozen battery storage facilities, and multiple hyperscale data centers in 5 years. We are here to say that we vehemently oppose giving any incentive to these developments in Wilson County, financial or otherwise, particularly financial incentives like Chapter 312 tax abatements or Chapter 381 development agreements, if indeed that's what the second agenda item is about, and not that phase of the Wilson County tax abatement policy that was clear from the language, so I'm not sure about that. We have not opposed all industrial developments generally, like Mission Rail or Ecor's new facilities, not out of ignorance, but because we believe they will bring decent manufacturing jobs and sustainable economic development to our community without compromising its character. However, our property taxes have gone up year after year, while a fifth of the population of this county is 65 or older and on a fixed income or about to be. To offer these $100 million or billion-dollar extractive projects massive property tax breaks that no individual or other local business is afforded is inappropriate, and no illusion of control over the process of their development is worth a 60% tax break. If locals cannot succeed on their merits, they fail, as the market demands. So it should be for these developments, especially given the literal handful of long-term jobs they promise. Given that the apparently credible rumors point to this site as the next data center, or at least serving it, all of this is doubly true. If these developers cannot succeed with federal and state subsidies and tax breaks they've already received, they deserve to fail with prejudice. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Mark Herb's next.
Good morning, Judge. Good morning, Commissioners. First and foremost, I appreciate everything you guys do, and I'm going to speak life and power into you versus anything else. At the end of the day, you guys, I know, have a rigorous and hard job, and I appreciate the rigor that you put into it. And one thing that I want you all to consider as you all look at all of these developments and the things we do is leadership. At the corner, at the heart of what we do and what you all do is trust and leadership. And trust is the very key component of effective leadership across the board. So when we're dealing with the people that are coming before you, that are working to increase the development and potential of Wilson County, I would ask that you look at that thing. You look at trust. If they're not transparent, if they're not doing the things that they should do to integrate the public into what's going on, the decisions that we're making, I ask that you consider with prejudice and all the rigor you can to second guess what they're doing and asking for. Because at the end of the day, you all are the stewards of our resources. And the Bible says, Proverbs 25:2 says, it is the glory of God to conceal the matter. It is the glory of kings to seek that matter out. You guys are the stewards and the kings that seek that out for our community. You all are responsible for our future and your growth. I trust you to do that. Please, please, with all my heart, consider that when you're looking at these things. I appreciate you and God bless you.
Thank you, sir. Charlotte Taylor.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Charlotte Taylor. I've been in this county for 26 years. I live in Whispering Oaks, which is a little bit of paradise. We have all kinds of wildlife. We got a bunch of fawns now. I guess a lot of people see those in their neighborhood. And I'm here to talk about common sense. I'm not against progress. I'm not against technology. But these data centers and this AI technology is obviously not ready for prime time. It's not ready for our communities. When you extract water that leaves people, livestock, farms without water, you are destroying communities. Yep. And there are ways that these companies can cool their systems with fans. But guess what? It costs more. And so I think we need to serve the best interests of the people. What good is technology if it doesn't make our lives better? But is it really here to serve us in this community? To make it easier for people to write book reports? or put somebody else's head on somebody else's body and create cute little memes. Our water, our communities, the health of our livestock, the health of our people is much more important than a technology that is obviously not ready. And I would hope that as y'all consider these data centers, which presently is right through my neighborhood in Whispering Oaks, right through Cimarron Drive, and then of course it cuts right through 181. Traffic has been stopped a little bit the last couple of weeks. That you consider that if it goes through anyway, regardless of all of the sentiment in our community against it, that you at least rethink these abatements and tax credits. These billionaires don't need that. And if they don't want to come to our county, then thank goodness, let them go somewhere else and bother someone else and let them fight it. We don't want them.
Yes.
We don't want them. I
We
appreciate
don't
y'all
want them.
considering this. Mhm.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Kay Love.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Kay Love, short and plain and brief. I request that the court table agenda item number 9 and take no action on Moonstone's project until such time as the public can be made aware of the project and comment on it, and additional time to inspect the inappropriate connections the project has to the Wilson County EDC and its members, and the Commissioner Court can demonstrate full compliance with the Texas Open Records Act, the Texas Open Meetings Act regarding this project. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Linda Booker.
Hi, this is my first time at this place, and I just really appreciate the job you guys do. I just have questions just for a beginning of dialogue, and I know you're all very smart. You're probably up on these questions already. The first, what is the rationale for giving tax abatements for this solar project? Second question, what would be the duration of the tax abatement? Third, how much tax revenue will be lost? Fourth, how will that tax revenue be replaced? 5, how many permanent jobs will it create? Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Paul Tucker.
Morning.
Good morning.
I want to specifically address the question of the heat island effect that can be caused by large, great-scale solar projects, such as the Moonboat project. So my understanding, not being an expert, but having read, my understanding is that highly reflective voltaic materials can augment cooling by increasing what's called surface albedo or reflectivity. So that older materials absorb the heat, and newer materials reflect the light and significantly reduce that heat island effect. So the question is this proposed Moonstone project required, and I'm guessing probably not required on state regulations, but can you inform us as to, is it required, or if not, do you know whether or not, can you find out and let the public know whether or not this project is using that latest highly reflective photovoltaic technology in order to mitigate that heat island effect? That's one question. The second question is the other aspect, technical aspect that I understand can greatly reduce the heat island effect is whether the panels are what is called monofacial or bifacial. So only one face reflects as opposed to both faces of the panel reflecting. If it's bifacial, that also significantly reduces the heat island effect. So if we have new technology with bifacial panels, then the heat island effect is all but eliminated. On the other hand, if you have old technology with monofacial pattern panels, then the heat island effect is massive. And it can raise temperatures in this area by as much as 3 or 4 degrees. So that's very significant for all of us. So can you find out, can you answer that question? And I don't want to just ask the question for you to reflect on. I'd like to know if there's a way for the answers that you either have or can come up with to be communicated to the public. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Ms. Debbie Segovia.
Hi, good morning. Thank you for this opportunity to talk about agenda item number 9. What I'm going to talk about is the opportunity with this tax abatement. It can be a critical tool in helping counties bring public improvements to the area, provide employment opportunities. But at the same time, it's also an opportunity for the county to expect certain concessions from the developer so that they protect the constituents and protect existing businesses. So for that, a tax abatement agreement can be a critical tool for public improvement, but careful consideration should be given to the effects that such development may have on existing residents and businesses. And solid county leadership balances smart development with minimal impacts to agriculture, community heritage, and natural resources. There's ways that Wilson County can achieve this balance in protecting the agricultural legacy and conserving local water resources and prioritizing robust safety systems. And those considerations should include these items here. Agrivoltaic integration, combine solar panels with agricultural use by using grazing animals or planting native shade-tolerant crops beneath the arrays. Native ground cover, seed the site with native Texas grasses and pollinator-friendly wildflowers to improve soil health. Wildlife-friendly fencing, water runoff management, which would use, of course, employ retention ponds and bioswales to prevent soil erosion and protect local creeks. Obviously, safety and operational best practices should be employed. We are asking, we being the public, we would ask for, if this project were to go forward, we would ask for setbacks and buffering. This, from what I understand, Moonstone is going to be right along 181. And in that portion, 181 is always a very beautiful bucolic view coming into our very fine county. And we would ask that the setback be at least 450 feet around the entire development. Plant thick vegetative visual buffers to minimize glare and preserve rural aesthetics for neighbors. At the setback, construct an earthen berm to enclose the solar array in its entirety.
Go ahead, maybe about 10 seconds.
Okay, she's gonna give me her minutes.
Who's she?
Andy,
Are you giving her your 3 minutes?
I agree.
Okay, you got them. All right.
so, again, construct an earthen berm to enclose the solar array in its entirety to preserve the agricultural view from 181 and nearby county roads. The other regulatory steps should include FEMA floodplain mapping, and the county should be provided with the engineering studies that the project safely ties into ERCOT. One thing that I was very pleased to see in the law is under Chapter 302 of the Texas Utility Codes. Texas state law legally mandates, it's not a suggestion, it's a requirement, that all solar facility developers secure financial guarantees such as decommissioning bonds. And this law legally forces the developer to pay for the complete removal of all panels, substations, underground cables, ensuring the ground is safely restored to its original agricultural state at the end of the project's life. So in doing so, that law, Chapter 302, requires a developer to establish financial assurances. So what I'm saying in this is that the county, in entering into a possible tax abatement, which would, I'm looked at your tax abatement policies for 10 years, and I don't know if it was a full tax abatement or is it graduated like a tourist tax abatement. I'm not, it didn't say. But I would ask that the county establish a committee to look at these tax abatement requests from the public, because y'all have a great pool of retired professionals out here. I can't tell you how many civil engineers I've run into, attorneys, they're all retired, but they want to give back to their community. I myself am a retired public servant from the state of Texas, city of San Antonio and Sauce. So I bring a lot of experience with me, and we're not trying to stop progress. We just want the county to do this smart and keep its constituents in mind, because ultimately your job is to protect us. Thank you.
All right, we move to 9.2, discuss take action of the development agreement with Moonstone Solar Scout Energy. Before we begin, we have representatives here. Blakely, you want to get up? Ms. Fernandez? Good morning.
Judge and Commissioners, my name is Blake. Is that better? It's kind of.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. My name is Blakely Fernandez. I'm with Bracewell, a law firm in San Antonio. I've been engaged by the county to do economic development work for you, including working on your tax abatement applications and agreements. So the application that you have before you today that is discussed under items 9A and B was submitted to the county on May 27th. Today is the first action. This is for the court to consider whether the application is complete and whether you want to proceed with diligence on this project. So that would address a lot of the comments that the public has made here today. And then enter into a development agreement. There's some confusion about that term. The development agreement is the agreement that we use with the applicant to ensure that they cover all of your fees. The county is not out any money in undertaking the diligence on the project and the negotiation of the agreement. So it's not an abatement agreement itself. It doesn't obligate the county to do anything. It's just our first step going forward. So if you decide to proceed with diligence on this project, we would post for a public hearing. I've got that identified as something that we would do this week for an August 10th public hearing on the reinvestment zone. On September 4th, that would be the last day that we could post the abatement agreement. We would endeavor to do that earlier than that, a draft agreement. And then on September 14th would be the date that you would consider the abatement agreement. This is a calendar that I have put together just based on today's date going forward. We can adjust that as the county desires. So the application that you have for Moonstar Solar, and we've got representatives from Moonstar Solar here, and when I'm done, they're available to answer specific questions on their application and their project. It's a 145 megawatt photovoltaic power generation facility. That's a solar facility. And their investment is anticipated to be $145 million. They're proposing a project that would commence in the first half of 2028. Construction would be complete in the second half of 2029, and it's a 10-year abatement term under state law. The project life of the project is 30 years. The full reinvestment zone that they're proposing is 3,600 acres, generally southwest of US 181. The project size itself is about 1,400 acres. Solar projects don't produce a lot of jobs. They're proposing 3 full-time jobs. That would be in addition to the jobs for construction.
That's 3.
And then on wages, their application proposes the minimum prevailing wage as specialized by the Department of Labor. In the past, we've asked for wages to track the median county wage, be a little stair step above that, and to have health care benefits. So in terms of whether the application is complete under your policy requires an investment of $1 million, so it meets that threshold. The policy requires some job creation, so even though it's a small number of jobs, there would be some job creation. The abatement would be for county maintenance and operations tax only, so your interest and sinking fund tax would not be affected. And any other taxes that the county collects, I don't remember if you have a road and bridge fund or a farm to market. I don't think you have a farm to market road tax. But so those taxes you would collect, and then the overlapping jurisdictions would collect their full tax rates. So the school districts, the ESDs, the San Antonio River Authority, I think there's 1 or 2 others, but the overlapping jurisdictions would collect their full tax rate. And then your policy requires that the property being considered for an abatement be eligible under state law, and this is eligible under state law. Your policy also lays out just some broader considerations, things that are less, I guess, more subjective in nature. And so the first area is site improvements, kind of thinking about what the site is used for now versus what the proposal would be. So right now, I understand that the site is ag exempt, so it's not producing any significant taxes for the county right now. The improvements would be the solar improvements, the things you would expect to go with that project. The productive life of the improvements is 30 years. It should be compatible with the comprehensive plan. I don't believe you have a comprehensive plan, and so I don't know that that's a consideration. Environmental impacts, the solar facility itself doesn't really have any negative environmental impacts. I think some of the things that I'm sorry, I don't remember your name, but that she mentioned, you want drainage is an issue you want to make sure that it's being addressed. The decommissioning is addressed by state law. We can mirror that language in the contract so that if state law looks different in 30 years or in 10 years, that it's mirrored in for your purposes. Let's see, on economic spinoff, the dollar amount of all construction contracts and subcontracts awarded on the project, their investment's expected to be $145 million. We can ask them to break that out for us and what that looks like in construction versus materials. Impact on business opportunities of existing businesses and local contractors. You can do local hiring programs. We could add some of that into the requirements if that was desired, a way to promote local subcontractors. Those kinds of criteria are often included. And then on jobs, we've discussed this. It's only 3 jobs. They would be local employment opportunities in that the jobs would be stationed here in the county. If we use the competitive wages and benefits that we've used in the past, it would be a $70,000 a year job for each of those with health care benefits.
That's perfect.
On public cost and benefits, the costs incurred by the county to provide services should be considered. That's primarily law enforcement. The ESD will receive its full tax benefits, so in terms of fire and other emergency benefits that they provide, that would come through their taxation. Public improvements to be made, I don't believe that there are any. We've looked at their ingress and egress plan that really focuses on state roads, not on county roads. So that would involve their agreements with TxDOT regarding state roads. And then the county would receive a payment in lieu of taxation as opposed to property tax. That's got some benefit to the county in that money comes in outside of your tax rate cap, a pilot payment does. And it doesn't have the same restrictions that other sources of revenue that you collect come in on. So the final issue in your policy is to establish whether there's been a feasibility study. Some types of projects that are proposed to the county, you'd really want to see, will this project work? On a solar project, land and sun tells you if the project would work. So on feasibility, we look more towards the feasibility of the project owner to get the project completed. The owner here is Scout Clean Energy, and they've got a representative here today. They own and operate over 1 gigawatt of energy assets across the country. They've got 21 gigawatts of wind, solar, and storage development in their pipeline. They are owned by a global investment firm called Brookfield that has substantial resources as well. All right, the next slide shows their tax abatement proposal. I think I've left my glasses at my seat, but I'm going to do my best here. They show on a construction year, of course, you would receive full taxes during construction. That's going to be some type of partial value of the overall project. It will depend on how complete they are at the time of appraisal. And so they show 1 year of construction, even though it's split over 2 years, with an estimated value of $45 million. And that would be taxed at the full rate. And then on year 1, from years 1 to year 10, that's the abatement period, they're proposing the depreciation value that's allowed by the state of Texas. They actually start that depreciation in year 1. Historically, well, I guess we've got one other agreement. We took their full value in year 1 and started depreciation after that. We're stipulating all of this for the purpose of pilot payments. And so that's just something for the court to consider. They've given us a proposal based on making 45% payment of M&O taxes. That comes out to a little less than $1,000 per megawatt. With equalized payments over 10 years, that is $142,000 per year. In my discussions with Commissioner Martin, he was wanting to see something that stepped above that. We haven't started those negotiations, but this is the proposal made by the company, so this is kind of where we start. And I think I wanted to highlight on the last slide a couple of items that we worked through based really on public comment on the Clear Creek project came through this county a year or so ago. On water, I want to confirm that this project did not acquire any of the water rights in their leases with the land, so they won't have access to those. On setbacks, we did set setbacks in the last agreement. In our early discussions, they flagged that they would request those setbacks be from residential structures and not from property lines. So that's something that we have to discuss. We put in environmental remediation language in the last agreement, and then we put in a provision that there would be no conveyance to a tax exempt entity out of concern that CPS out of San Antonio was acquiring some of these projects at the end of their abatement years, and then the county doesn't receive the benefit of the full taxes once the pilot period is over. So that's an overview of their project. I think, just on a checklist, I think it is a complete application. Whether the county wants to proceed with diligence is their discretion. And if we elect to do that, we'd ask the developer to sign the development agreement that is item 2 or the second item under item 9. And then that agreement would ensure that they cover the costs of going forward. We are just at the very beginning stage of this, so we'll still have public hearings on their investment zone, and we'll have public hearing on the abatement agreement.
We have somebody from the company. Please state your name, sir.
My name is Evan Mellett. I'm from Harris County, Texas. I work for Scout Clean Energy. Our offices are in Boulder, Colorado. I did take a lot of notes from today's concerns from the public and wanted to address some of those, if that's okay.
Sure.
Could you spell your last name for me?
Yes, sir. It's Mallettt.
Thank you, sir.
So one of the main concerns that I heard from the community is regarding data centers, and we are not associated with any data centers. We're not proposing a data center. It's solely just with the construction of the solar project itself. The The purpose of the solar project is to provide cost-effective energy to the public of Texas, or at least those that are in ERCOT. The next concern that regarding heat island effects, to that we are using the most modern Series 7 modules. They are bifacial panels. As far as reflectivity, I am not entirely sure that, unfortunately, I'm not an engineer, but we are using the newest technology of modules, the latest that's available. And they are built here in the US as well. We're looking at two different module types. One is made by First Solar, which has a long history of manufacturing here in the US, in Ohio, Louisiana, and Alabama. The other module we're looking at is built here in Texas, which is made by a company called T1, and they're based at one of their manufacturing facilities in Austin, and I can't remember where their other facility is here in Texas. I got two. On the concerns around minimizing impact, we do agrivoltaics on our sites. We have a site up in McLennan County, Texas, called Markham Solar. We utilize sheep grazing for that site, and we also have a lot of native seeds, pollinators. We have a lot of bee activity for that. We try to utilize agrivoltaics wherever possible. It just depends. However, since the site has been in cattle grazing, we see that this site is very suitable for agrivoltaics. So we'll be most likely utilizing that. As far as wildlife-friendly fencing, it's kind of a challenge in certain areas. We try to make sure that we keep teenagers out of the site. There's a lot of electricity that runs through here, so we adhere to safety rules on that. But we will have erosion management plans. Those usually have to be filed with multiple jurisdictions. As said before, we do have setbacks, and we stay out of FEMA flood zones because those become incredibly challenging for ensuring buildability. We do a lot of drainage work to make sure that our erosion management is kept. Let's see here. Water usage, we don't use much water at all except for to keep dust levels low during the construction process. We don't want to be a bad neighbor to anyone. We don't really wash our modules at all, so I don't, the water usage should be fairly minimal. There might be, safety stations for eye wash for the safety of the employees out there. One of the other items I heard concerns about was on the amount of jobs, and the permanent jobs, the full-time employees of Scout that will be on site. Yes, it's only about 3+ employees that are out on site that are doing the monitoring of the electrical equipment, making sure that that the site is fully safe ongoing. However, there's going to be multiple jobs out there for the ground maintenance, taking care of the agrivoltaics out there, making sure that the entire site is maintained and clean and safe. In addition to that, there'll be roughly about 300 jobs or so during the construction. Those are trade jobs that go from projects to projects, just like construction. So there will be more jobs that are involved. It's just 3 permanent Scout employees on the site that is being discussed. There will be a lot of other jobs for other maintenance activities. I believe that yeah. Did the commissioners have any questions?
Yeah, I've got a couple. So you do receive government subsidies to start it, correct?
So solar projects still receive some tax credits for the construction. It depends on how much American material you use and whether it's in an energy community. But the big item there is how much American materials you use. Says whether or not you do.
What's guarantee you won't sell to a nonprofit like CPS Energy and then this goes away?
So currently we don't have any that I know of, any of the bids that we put in are to sell a project to any nonprofits. We also don't generally sell our projects. We like to own and operate them for their life. That's part of our investment plan.
Yeah.
However, so far CPS has not put out, to my knowledge, any request for proposals to purchase.
If we don't give you an abatement, will you still build it?
It's incredibly challenging.
Hmm.
So, the economics of this site are actually very challenging, and we're trying to improve those every way we can.
All those things that Mr. Goldie has said, are they a doable thing in a contract? She talked about foliage coming up, certain things need to be done to the area.
So native seeds are already very important to these sites. Agrivoltaics is important to our company. Wildlife-friendly fencing is incredibly challenging. However, these are havens for wildlife. They find a way in, and they find that it's a fairly safe place for predators at that point once the site is built, so they flourish. Erosion management, of course, is paramount to these sites. Safety is absolutely number one priority. Setbacks, we've already included setbacks within our request. I'm not entirely sure on what was meant by the earth and burn. There is already a very steep climb from the highway up to the site itself, so it's kind of challenging to see the site from the highway there. FEMA mapping, yeah, we stay out of floodplains. Engineering studies, we do just a ton of those, and the requirements of ERCOT for how strict ERCOT is comparatively to the rest of the regional authorities. Nowadays, that is, ERCOT is very strict on how these projects have to be entered into their system and the grid, and decom bonds are of course state law.
One last question, I'll let you go to the other ones. I'm looking at this, the tax abatement proposal, far right column, that's what the county would get in the next 10 years, $142,194, is that correct, a year?
I don't have it in front of me, but I believe that's correct, to my knowledge.
I'm not trying to diminish it, you know that they can build a road, a very small road for that amount of money, and it's going. It's not, for this county, it's a lot of money, but it's really not a lot of money.
It is not a lot of money, and I want to make sure that the public understands that this is only for that portion of the county commission. We still pay full tax on all the educational taxes,
Cool.
everything else in our county.
That is, I've been with these guys out there, they can go all that up in one day.
Yeah, the hope is that we would not be damaging anything in our path except for improvements that we be doing out there. We hope to just improve the area.
Okay, I won't ask anymore, I'll turn it over to the commissioners. Commissioners, you have questions?
Where's this energy going?
So once, well, it's going into a 138 kV line that CPS owns that path of it, that stretch of it. A lot of the power lines in Texas are owned by multiple entities depending on where they're located. But in this specific path, it's owned by CPS, and CPS will build out a substation for us to connect into. From there, it just goes to the path of least resistance. So the next few taps, wherever, but it's incredibly challenging to get the physics to see where electrons go. But it basically goes to Texas.
Yeah, so we're gonna suspend, don't go away, there's more to come. We gotta suspend for a special meeting, so,
No worries.
and then we'll reconvene after that, it won't take long, okay?
Thank you.
All right, it's 9:58 a.m. and I'm gonna suspend the regular general meeting for a special meeting, agenda item number 5, I believe. And we'll call to order at 10 o'clock, a.m. development, lot 23, Ms. Rodwell.
Yes, this is for an old subdivision, Oak Park Development, which was platted a long time ago. This would have formerly been addressed with a variance, a non-standard plat variance. It's just a 9.82 acre tract that is being split in half. It is a replat for that reason. It has to have a public hearing to hear any protests, if there's anyone here.
All right, do we have anybody to sign up for public comment? No. All right, you may proceed. That's it? Okay.
Do you have questions?
Well, the plat's not coming up from,
Not yet.
No, yeah, that's agenda item number 10.
Okay, since there's none, then we are through with agenda item number 5. Okay, Ms. Charlotte, Weaver? I think she was on the other one. I think she's, Rebecca, I'm sorry, Mary Kay, starts with a W, read the last part. Okay, all right. Okay, the time is 10:01 a.m., and we'll reconvene in regular session, and I'll ask Ms. Millette to come back up again, and Ms. Fernandez.
I'm sorry, any further questions?
We'll entertain a motion, gentlemen, that's an agenda, that's an action item. I'm sorry. Do you have any first questions?
so, Mrs. Fernandez suggested here that the project does not acquire any water rights. Very big in this county right now. Very big everywhere in the state of Texas, but definitely very big for this county. We would be looking for concessions that you would never drill wells for the purposes of using high volume water either on the project or to sell it to anybody else. That was the single biggest item in the one and only abatement that we've done as a county, was to ensure that whatever they did with their project, they didn't take our water, quote unquote. And your motion is like, it's something that's the biggest concern from the public whenever they start talking about any of the projects that are going on, is we don't have enough water to take and see our future not being very complicated. And we want to make sure that any project that's considered doesn't use the water that's already used.
Yeah, no problem whatsoever.
I understand that it's probably not something that your project would need. It doesn't go in with these type of projects, but that's one of the main affirmations that the public wants, is to be protected in that manner, because we are very much so an agricultural community.
Yeah, the only exceptions to that would be if we could have water for fire safety out there, that's about it. I can't imagine any other water needs whatsoever except.
And I mean, that's worked out through the fire marshal's office and the ESD's covering it, which there's several that overlap.
Yeah, we will not be selling any water. We don't even have water rights.
And not having it now doesn't mean there couldn't be a renegotiated along the line. And I just want it out there in the public that we, transparency is a concern that is brought up by the citizenry. We want to know what's going on, and we want to make sure that we're not being told one thing and something else is going differently down the line.
Yeah, if it's in writing, it's.
It's really, but it's,
some guarantee that this will be sold to CPS or something.
and I mean,
Like that.
no conveyance to the tax exempt, you know, that was also at the forefront of concerns whenever the public started to take in it and be involved in the last process that took place.
Yeah, that's part of the abatement process. There's no grants to tax exempt entities.
I guess my next question, Mrs. Fernandez. Just more of the previous project, the first 2 years weren't abated because it was the building time and they were gonna be bringing in the resources. The abatement started on the 3rd year whenever it was at 100% value. Why is this one not mirroring that one?
It is.
It is.
So you've got a construction year, in their table, they're showing it as 1 year.
Okay, so it's a matter of the start time and not what the table's
Right,
written.
but
That's-
the construction year is, it's impacted by when they start, when you appraise, when taxes are due, all of that can take what's really a 12-month process and put it into 2 tax years, or it could be in 1 tax year. But, construction is a little bit of a guess. Once they send you notice, of commencement, then that will start, the initial tax payments. During construction, they come in at 100%. And then once they've got the project complete, and operational, then the pilot, payments start for that first 10-year period. I want to, just reiterate that in the abatement agreement, any default under that agreement, material financial default under the agreement, results in a recapture of the taxes that you abated. And so something like, selling to CPS, if that were to happen, it would be a breach of the agreement. It would likely be at the end of their 10-year abatement period. But we'll have a tail that hangs on to that agreement for employment, for not selling to a tax exempt entity. We'll have a tail for some other things. And would there be a breach in that agreement, then they'd be responsible to back pay the taxes that had previously been abated. So that's kind of the stick that you have. On the reinvestment zone, when we establish that, we can restrict that to solar projects only and restrict data centers from being a part of that reinvestment zone, such that if the data center were to come into that zone, the reinvestment zone would be prohibited, yeah, or all the benefits within that zone would go away. They don't have any intention or relationships with data centers. That's a different business model. But we can put that restriction into the reinvestment zone to offer that additional protection, again, to carry out over time, because none of us may still be sitting here in 10 years. We want to make sure that the commitments carry forward.
So if we put that into the reinvestment zone, that's not a part of any negotiation. That is, this is the way this zone is established.
Yeah.
And you can comply or not.
Right, and so if you don't, if it's out of compliance, it could terminate other agreements within the reinvestment zone. And if it's out of compliance, the project's out of compliance with for any kind of abatement. That's language that we can work on to make sure that you've got that protection in there.
So our next step would be to, if approved by this court here, to move forward for a public hearing so that the public can have input in their concerns, and that they're, just like we did the last one.
That's right.
I think Ms. Kitty played a big role in that, helping us out with some of that, concerns, and we met those concerns in that contract.
We did. You had a couple of citizens who developed a really good comprehensive list. We took those and, to the extent they were appropriate under county jurisdiction, and under the contract document, we incorporated them all into the agreement.
All right. You got your information? Yeah.
I'm concerned about the connections that are with SCAD and EDC.
I can't hear you, Mr. Love. Please come to me.
Well, let's come up, breaking that rule, whatever, come on.
Almost breaking rules. I'm concerned with the connections there are between this solar project and people on the EDC, for one thing.
Okay, we abolished the EDC in the last quarter.
We don't have an EDC, it's a WEDC.
EDC,
They don't report to us, ma'am. They're their own entity.
but you set them up.
We did, and that was under a committee which has been absolved.
Very recently.
Last quarter we absolved it.
Well, one thing that I'm concerned about, and I will add to this, for one thing, very few people in this county are aware of this project. And it's a problem in the county of letting people know of things people are on Facebook, or they don't subscribe to the Wilson County News. There's no way anybody has of knowing. And I have one coming through close to where I live, and there are other ones that are planned. And I think you all need to really take a close look at how this will change the whole outlook of this county. CPS is who's buying what's coming out of Clear Fork. Is CPS gonna buy the energy that comes out of that one? Or is that what we're gonna do, is just send power to CPS?
Ma'am, where do you think Phelps and GVC get their power from?
They also get it from them, I understand, but they don't have a switch yard. See, they don't have a CPS switch yard.
But the lack of understanding where our power comes from versus where it's derived from, it takes place, you know, we get what we're talking about. If there are more providers putting power onto the grid, does that not make a healthier grid?
I know that you're in favor of this, I've been in favor of it from the past. I don't think I can change your mind on it. I'm hoping to change other people's mind that this county does not need or want any more solar farms, any more data centers. And that's personal, that's not just my personal opinion, it's the opinion of many of the people who have been here. And here your attorney is sitting over there with them? Okay, I understand, that's fine, I understand. But there, people show up, because this is something they care about, so.
Just one more thing. When
Yes, go ahead.
Commissioner Aiken and I, on the last project, we kind of sped up the notification of the other jurisdictions. So state law requires you to notify the other jurisdictions 7 days before approving the abatement agreement. The model that we set up, we notified all the jurisdictions of the application and of the reinvestment hearing. And actually, it was really helpful because the hospital district, I think, was very concerned that they were going to be forced to abate. But it got the conversation out. It did get a few more people here because at least the school board members get notified, the hospital district, ESDs and others. So we've got that. That is laid out in the packet that I sent you about elect to proceed. The other jurisdictions will all be invited specifically to not just the meeting on the abatement agreement, but to come in earlier for the reinvestment zone so you can have better community conversation.
Can I ask a informational question?
Sure, and let me speak to what Mrs. Fernandez said as soon as I can get to the end of this email. So the different entities that are to be contacted in reference to this particular project. Evergreen, Floresville ISD, San Antonio River Authority, Wilson County Hospital District, Wilson County ESD number 2, ESD number 4, and ESD number 5. So what this is alluding to is that where this project footprint, as we're in the beginning stages, is proposed, all of these different taxing entities would take and be affected by it, and all of the rest of the taxing entities would take and receive 100% of the valuation of the project. The only thing that is potential is whether or not in a future agreement is entered into with Wilson County and this project.
So it's just an informational question. Where can we as the public, my understanding from what Mrs. Fernandez has said is that there are various mechanisms for working into the final agreement, restrictions and conditions. And so you as a commissioner's court are not powerless to impose restrictions and conditions. Is that correct?
Within state confines, yes, sir. But the agreement is able to have things that are agreed upon between the two entities. Like the judge brought up, Mrs. Kibbe, who normally is sitting in our courtroom and monitoring what goes on. She, because of her history in dealing with both county and city governments and infrastructure, she goes, these are what I would suggest need to be there to help better protect the citizenry. And we incorporated a lot of her ideas because they were very good to help protect the people of Wilson County.
So when the public hearing comes, or before the public hearing, as part of public notification, will we be able to see, will the public be able to see what restrictions and conditions you have decided to impose in writing? And whereas I don't mean to question the gentleman's honesty or truthfulness in terms of what he says his company usually does with, for instance, photovoltaics is not the same as being required to do that. So will we as the public be able to see what conditions you have imposed upon the tax abatement agreement before it goes for a vote?
So the first step, if the county determines the application is complete and they're gonna proceed forward, then we'll post that application on their website. And then we have a two-step process after that. The reinvestment zone creation is separate from consideration of an abatement agreement. The abatement agreement itself, the draft has to be posted 7 days before consideration. We'll try and get that up earlier than that. And that agreement is also sent out to the other overlapping jurisdictions. And then, so everyone will have a chance to see it in advance. Last time we walked through it in great detail in the public meeting. There were additional comments and questions that were asked in the court. I think in the motion to approve the agreement laid out some conditions that they wanted, even changes that were made.
And we, sir, we had one property owner who was here in the courtroom, and they go, I don't want to be a part of the project. We removed them from that list of about 40 people who chose to be a part of the project. We removed them from it at that time right there in court to where someone who didn't want to participate didn't have to. And so we're trying to maintain as much as we possibly can the desires of the people who are within the affected zone.
And without the agreement, the judge asked the important but-for question, right? You don't want to be giving abatement agreements to someone who's coming anyway. They should be a decision maker for economic development purposes. The other side of that is that you really don't get to lay out step back. You don't get to restrict sales to nonprofit entities. You don't get to ask for the agrivoltaic amenities. Those things you don't have any control over outside of a contractual relationship.
So, like during that hearing, and we've had the list, they come, the public comes to see it. Can that be amended right then? We have something else come up and agree to that, or we're gonna have to wait and delay, or?
No, the public hearing, the first one will be just on the reinvestment zone, but I anticipate you will receive a lot of comments on the abatement agreement even during the reinvestment zone hearing. That's kind of the way that happens. We'll collect them. The commissioner, since it's in his precinct, Commissioner Martin, I would assume would be collecting requests from constituents, and he'll be in touch with my office to let me know, kind of what his priorities are in that regard as well. And certainly all of you are welcome to do that, and I would be.
Judge, I didn't sign up to speak, but I have a concern.
Come on.
Thank you for letting me speak. I'm Cambria Reed. My concern is lithium. Mrs. Hernandez, I understood to say there's no environmental impact. And Mr. Millett, I understood him to say that all their solar panels are modern and well-to-do, etc. But I have messaged back and forth with a woman who is a former potato farmer in Idaho. She had to give up her farm because lithium leaches off with dew and rainstorms into the fields and she can't farm anymore. It's my understanding that you can't fish in the Martinez Creek reservoir that's off of 1604 because that discharge water from the lithium has poisoned the fish. I understand there's going to be a berm. What insurance do we have in the county that if the berm fails, that it's protected, the land is cleaned, etc.? And my concern is just environmental pollution.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, any other comments? I'm gonna have to put, I'm sorry.
45 seconds.
Okay, so we've already broken our rules here. I'm gonna let you do this, but from now on, that's not gonna happen, okay? We do have rules in the courtroom and we need to stand by those.
45 seconds.
Okay, go ahead. State your name, please.
Linnea Haycock, is there a way we can just request for the company to pay for an environmental impact study? I can't believe this hasn't been set. An environmental impact study will answer so many of these questions.
That's incorporated in the procedure as it goes along. Right now, this is just the beginning stage, none of that is put upon them or put on the county. It,
That would address a lot of the concerns though, and it would, I feel like that would be a lot more efficient.
Thank you. All right, Commissioner, what do you move along? I'll entertain a motion for agenda item number 9.
One thing real quick here. Sir, is this gonna be, do we have battery storage or just connect it right into the 345 kV line?
So, there is a sort of planned portion of this being battery storage, however, it isn't looking like that's likely here. But there is an interconnection request that was put in for battery storage a couple of years ago. And then, sorry, what was your other question?
I didn't know if it was connecting right in, to the substation for the,
Yeah, so it's the way it's planned, if it does come to fruition, is that it shares the same gen ties, the solar project, and goes into the substation at 138 kV.
the reason I ask is how we're gonna help ESD whenever there's something going out there, how we're gonna, our fire, our EMS, are y'all gonna help us provide training to them?
Yes, we've actually already been in contact with the emergency services here in the county to make sure that they know who we are. They've seen this sort of preliminary plan of the site already, and then as things progress, we'll constantly update them. They'll know all that's all of the battery storage projects that we have. It's a practice that we do and other companies do, where we do training sessions as well.
Okay, so you are gonna help train our guys?
Yes, that's part of all. It's safety again is number one.
Okay. What are you giving back to the county?
Sorry.
What are you giving back to the county? We're giving you an abatement, what are you giving back to the county?
So part of what we're getting back to the county is, one, assurances that, we can't come forward to you and say, oh no, the valuation is much less and fight this every year. It just sets like a known value for the project, so we know what we're paying in taxes, the county knows what they're getting in taxes every year. And there's no ambiguity around it. Another item that we're giving to the county is this discussion with the county and the county population as to what they want to see as far as safety and the screening requirements, all that stuff, to make sure that we're impacting the least possible. We're also, hopefully, again, if the project comes to fruition, because these things aren't guaranteed, in Texas, it's a race to the bottom for power prices. The hope is that this will help improve the power prices for the area by having a lower power price than prevailing.
All right, we're open for motion.
Mr. Fernandez, your recommendation is to accept the application.
The application is complete under your policies, right? And in terms of the low pilot payment, what are you giving back to the county? All of these are things that you can continue to work on. Right. So if you want to proceed in discussions, then I would recommend that you approve the development agreement. And doing that does not require you to approve this project later. You're not required to approve the reinvestment zone later. All we're doing is just continuing the discussion.
And that's important for the public to know that it was conveyed over media that today was like a stopgap measure. I believe, it's like we want to be notified of things. This is just the beginning stage, day one of a request from an entity. I think they telegraphed by coming to court a couple of months ago that, hey, we're probably gonna fill this out and come see you. And that was the last communication that Wilson County had with them until this was received and you've been working with them, so. Thank you.
Ms. Huron, we haven't referred to our attorney.
Okay.
Everything's good?
No, I prefer to this.
Okay, yeah, I know, and I realize both y'all are attorneys, so, okay, all right.
And that's one more step in the process that we don't utilize our local attorney's office. We go outside to utilize professionals that deal with these type of situations all the time. And that's a further effort to be able to try to get the best guidance that we can. Not saying anything about it, you know, because what's been talked about today by the public, we want you to know that we're working towards that end.
Okay, Carl, are you ready? Okay, I'll entertain a motion. All right, I'm gonna call for the second time. Do we have a motion to accept 9-2? Hear none, motion dies. We move to agenda item number 10, Lou Sirocco, Community Development Director. Okay. 10-1, Tier 2 Development, A, Oak Park Development Review and Approve Final Plat.
Jerry's passing out the Mylars for this proposed replat. This is the one we have the public hearing for, the 9.82 acres that is being split. This was given a favorable recommendation by our review committee.
Precinct is it?
It's in precinct 3.
Are both of those in yours, the blade?
Blades of Grass, yes, that one had been given a favorable recommendation to Commissioner's Court. It went down as no action since the plat did not have the utility signatures. He did acquire those, and we have that plat there as well.
Blades of Grass is the precinct.
Precinct 1, yes.
Right, I'll entertain a motion on agenda item 10-1A.
I'll make a motion to approve the final plan for Oak Park development.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Curtis, seconded by Commissioner Aiken. Any other discussion regarding 10-1A? Here's none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. All those against, ayes have it, motion passes. Move to 10-1B, Blades of Grass replat, review and approve final plat. Remind me again, we heard this last quarter.
Yes, this was June 22nd, I believe. I was, Ms. Jerry Laughlin is the one that presented it. It was approved through the review committee and approved the Commissioner's Court. However, the plat did not have its signatures from the utility companies. Mr. Seiler, who was here in attendance, took those, acquired the signatures, and the Mylars are back for signatures.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion on 10-1B.
I'll make a motion that we approve the Blades of Grass replat.
Motion made by Commissioner Curtis, seconded by Commissioner King. Any other discussion regarding 10-1B? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against, nay. Ayes have it, motion passes. We move to 10-2, Tier 1 Development, A, Ravine Subdivision, review and approve final plat.
Now, this was tabled at the last Commissioner's Court. I did get an email from the developer that they have not yet bought or signed the paperwork on the property that Mr. Whitty is selling. He asked that we push it back at this time. I don't know if you want to put it down as no action or disapprove the plat, but I will bring it back next Commissioner's Court once they've bought the property.
You're talking about 10-2A, right?
The ravine,
The ravine?
yes.
Okay, we can, just take no action on it and just move on. So no action will be taken on 10-2A. 10-3, naming of private lane, A, precinct 3, Big Country Lane, review and approve.
This private lane is proposed on private property for family. They asked for a private lane. They do have a road agreement to maintain the road themselves. This is for addressing purposes.
Where is it?
Off of Kaufman Road, precinct 3. No.
Pass it on the same time. I'm sorry.
I have
Off
to,
Kaufman Road.
very last lot off of Coachman Road, whenever they split it, it got split once, and he split it a second time, so it's, leave the last one on the left.
Left, last one on the left, crossing 190. I was out there Saturday afternoon, just a coincidence.
Doesn't have letters in here, so we wouldn't know.
And they're just wanting the name, the private lane.
Yes, they're gonna put 4 or 5 different structures out there, and by having 4 different addresses as A, B, C, D, and it's not actually labeled if you have first responders coming out there, you don't know where to go, so that's what they're doing the private road for.
And this is that part of 911 problem?
Yes.
Okay, all right, gotcha, all right.
Yes, these requests for private roads go through our addressing coordinator.
I'll entertain a motion on 10-3 then. All right, I'll make a motion that we do the naming of the private lane, Big Country Lane off of Hoffman Road.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Cardillo, second by Commissioner Aiken. Any other discussion regarding agenda item 10-3? Hearing none, I'll call for that vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against? Ayes have it, motion passes. Thank you. We have agenda item number 11. We have Jim Stewart, our County Sheriff's Office progress report.
Good morning. For the month of June, patrol stats, we had a total of 1,418 total calls for the month, which totals, bringing us to a grand total for the year of 8,550 calls to patrol. Month of June, we had 47 livestock calls, 35 animal complaint calls, 16 mental health calls, 1 burn ban. For the month of June, we had 32 arrests. Basically, we had 273 arrests for the year. Page 2, security checks, we had 28 for the month of June, 182 for the year. Patrol buys, visual checks, 567 for a total of 3,645 for the year. Traffic enforcement had 373 actions for a total of 2,634 for the year. Month of June, we wrote 53 traffic citations, 5 misdemeanor citations, no burn ban, 2 animal complaint citations. We wrote 369 warnings in the month of June. CID stats, as I said last month, we revamped these, make them, I think, a little more understandable, so they don't have a year-to-date. Month of June, we have 12 closed cases, took 78 new cases, and we have a whole total of 134 open cases. Month of June, we sent 14 cases, to the county attorney's office, 2 to the district attorney's office. Of those new cases, I guess we have 3 were unfounded, 6 of them have been pending further investigation, and 1 was transferred to another jurisdiction. In the month of June, we had 17 sex offender verifications, 3 compliance and sex offender compliance checks. Criminal interdiction, no or less, 3 felony arrests month of June, 1 misdemeanor arrest, 144 traffic stops. They assisted patrol 10 times. They did 3 days out of county grant operation. Okay, well, that's seized 2.63 grams of meth in the month of June and 1/2 gram of cocaine. Jail and court. We averaged 128 daily average in the jail. Intake was 107 for the month of June. Housing 5 United States Marshal inmates for a total of $13,500. We had 4 Gonzales County inmates for a total of $2,200. Court last month did 44 in-county transports, 31 out-of-county, 1 mental health transport, and made 7 arrests.
Any questions from the sheriff?
Thank you.
Hey, and before you go, sir, thank you for everything that was monitored when we were doing the civil roles or you're also great. We appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Item number 12, Don Pelazic, Arnett County Tax Assessor Collector. She's not here, but if you have a report, I'll give you 2 minutes to look it over. Forward it on. All right, we'll move on to agenda item number 13, Christina Moods, County Treasurer, discuss take action on County Treasurer's financial report.
Good morning. I'm presenting my June 2026 report. So as always, what's listed first is our checking accounts. You'll see for the month of June what our beginning balance was, our debits and credits, and giving you the ending balance. Then as well as our CDs. Then going into our investment accounts with Texas Poll and Texas Glass. Next page is our outstanding debt. The difference on that is we didn't make the August one, so that is taken care of for 2026 already. And then ending with what is labeled the treasurer's monthly report, showing the balances, any transactions for strictly the month of June for all funds. I also have my investment quarterly report ending for June 2026, so I can move on, or unless you have any questions for my monthly report, I will give you a little on.
You're good. You can move on.
It's also provided is, like I said, the investment quarterly report. That will show you, listed first is our investment sub-accounts with Texas Glass and Tax Pool. It will give you the credits and debits and of course interest earned for the 3 months, April, May, and June, as well as our ending balance. Going into our CDs, the interest earned within those accounts. And then lastly, the checking accounts. For the 3 months, all the interest earned, giving you a grand total at the bottom of the interest for the quarter. And I apologize, that says March 2026. I will correct that, that should say June. Y'all's probably reflects a March. It will be corrected. But ending with $281,790.52 for the quarter. Of just strictly interest with all of our interest-bearing accounts.
Commissioners, if you have any other questions of Christina, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion that we accept the financial report from the county treasurer as presented.
Motion made by Commissioner Aiken, seconded by Commissioner Curdo. Any other discussion regarding agenda item number 13? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those against, motion passes. All right, thank you. 14, Ms. Jaylen Waterford, our Human Resource Specialist, presentation of payroll and personnel.
Good morning. Kristen Lovis has been appointed to the position of Wilson County Auditor effective today, July 27, 2026. Gilbert Elston has resigned from his position as a representative for Precinct 1 effective August 7th. Rogelio Quintanilla resigned from his position as an investigator for the Sheriff's Department effective July 24th. And Rosalie Sanchez resigned from her position as an SRO for the Sheriff's Department effective July 14th.
Any questions, Ms. Waterford? I'm sorry. Got ahead of. Okay, thank you. Then item number 15, we have Christine Roberts, okay, we gotta correct that. That's not interim anymore. That's our county auditor. Discuss and take action on the budget amendment for transferring $9,412.41 from the general fund to the emergency operations center.
Into the EOC project for completion. This is our last bill that we should be receiving. So to cover those funds, we would give you a budget amendment. I'm asking the court to align and transfer to $9,412.41 from the general fund to the EOC fund to provide sufficient appropriation to pay for the EOC expense. I do have a part 2 in this as well, because since we are closing out that fund, part 2 would be following a review of the EOC fund budget. It was determined that budgeted revenue should be reclassified to accurately reflect the fund's current financing sources. This amendment reclassifies revenue previously budgeted as grant awards to the appropriate interfund transfer accounts and reduce the budget by $777,458.92 to reflect grant funding that is no longer anticipated. This adjustment aligns the adopted budget with actual funding sources, the project expenditures. Included the second sheet that's going to show how our revenue and expenses are hitting currently. So you'll see where we have the grant award anticipated budget, but the actual funds that we received this year were from the ARPA funds and civil preparedness. So we're just realigning the budget according to how we receive those funds.
Church will entertain a motion to agenda item number 15.
Warrant, I need a two-part motion to approve. Or is it really necessary to do the second? Is that mandated? This is that question.
Since we only have to do the 9,412, I think I should do this.
cents from the general fund to the EOC fund to provide sufficient appropriations to pay the EOC expenses, and furthermore, that we reclassify the budgeted grant awards to be moved into appropriating fund transfer accounts, which will reduce that amount by $777,458.92.
Motion made by Commissioner Aiken, second by Commissioner Perdola. Any other discussion regarding agenda item number 15? Here none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those against, motion passes. Agenda item 16, we have Christine Lamas for interim, our county auditor, sorry about that. We didn't know about that till this morning. Discuss and take action, section 74.602 of the Texas Property Code authorizes the Texas Comptroller of Public Accounts to allocate a portion of the unclaimed capital credits received from electric cooperatives back to counties and cooperatives service areas. The code also states that the money may only be used to fund an appropriate program under section 381.004 of the local government code. This does require Commissioner's Court approval.
I'd like to bring to your attention the funding opportunities through the Texas Comptroller Office, electric cooperative report unclaimed capital credits, and a portion of those funds can be returned to the counties where they originated. There is no cost to apply. Awards vary each year and are not guaranteed, but if awarded, the funds can support economic development, community programs, financial literacy, children's advocacy, tourism, and other eligibility authorized by local government code 381.004. The application deadline is July 31st. I'm requesting authorization from the court to submit the application on behalf of the county so we don't miss this opportunity.
You want approval for your office to go back to the funds?
Yes, it has to be approved by Commissioner's Court, so if they'll approve it, we'll complete this application, submit it, and if we receive the funds, then we would bring it back to court, and then at that point, we could decide how we would fund it, designate those funds for the first step.
Make a motion that we authorize, both of you already did. Make a motion that we authorize the county auditor's office to petition the state of Texas for unclaimed capital credits received from electric cooperatives for Wilson County. Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Aiken, second by Commissioner Keen. Any discussion regarding 16? Hear none, call for the vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against, motion passes. Agenda item 17, again, Ms. Lovis, our county auditor, discuss take action on county business. Nothing's changed since Friday.
The bill total is $572,368.90. I did have two invoices removed because I wanted to contact some questions. One of them being the foreign architect, because last Commissioner's Court, we had tabled the RFQs, and so before we paid that bill to them, I wanted to verify with the attorney's office that they did receive the RFQs.
Yeah, I think you should be back from Wales by now, and I'll reach out to you.
I pulled that one, and the other one was Lee Allen Carter. I had some questions about some of the line items on their invoice.
And who was that with?
The Alan Carter, that's our son-in-law.
Auditors, okay.
It's the same size. Unfortunately, we can't make that font any bigger.
With the exception of those two, this is what we're bringing
There was one more out of the elections that I need.
Was this 86 12 attack? Code 09410409.
That is for special legal.
Is it insurance or something we're taking care of, legal or? Okay. That's why I was looking at that one, I didn't know if she had. The,
It is part of
special
it.
legal, whatever you got, with 86 12 for tax. And it was an insurance thing, or what was that?
It is a. Yes,
Is that Q's?
it's a deductible that we're paying for special legal counsel.
That's not our website for tax, is it?
How do you pay extra unless it's regarding pending litigation, tablets, counsel, don't think they're representing candidates, so.
I love the invoice if you want to
The invoice should say,
see it. It gives you details. It's a deduct, it's going towards a deductible that we're paying for legal counsel. And, you know, and do what, that's based on that.
It's just pretty high amount, that's what I was asking. Kind of, you know what I mean? Say again?
Any case that we have pending with act for legal counsel does have a $10,000 deductible. So, I mean, those, I don't know how much it is. How much is it?
There's two. One is for $8,612.50, and the other was for $92.
I'm sorry, second?
$92.50.
Okay, well, that would be along the line of part of the deductible. Right?
That's what I was asking.
Probably what it is.
It is, it's going towards the deductible.
All right, Commissioners will entertain a motion.
Make a motion that we pay the bills in the amount of $572,368.09 as provided to us by the county.
Second. Motion made by Commissioner Aiken, seconded by Commissioner Turnbull. Do we have any other discussion regarding this agenda item? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against, ayes have it, motion passes. Approve the agenda item number 18, Commissioners Court A, announcement by Commissioners Courts and status updates informational. Do we have anything to share with the public commissioners, any major road repairs or anything the public needs to know? Okay.
I'd like to compliment the way that the county responded to the recent flood event. I want to take and thank the sheriff's department and all of the policing agencies throughout the county as well as the ESDs. Everyone stepped up, our own emergency operations center and our emergency manager and her team stepped up as well. And we were able to have a quote unquote safe flood if there can be such a thing.
And I'll thank also the Department of Public Safety, my former agency that I retired from, because they came out in droves with their rescue boats and spent the night there at Sutherland Springs to make sure that everybody was safe. And they got very little sleep. And Sutherland Springs did good, opened up their homes to them and fed them, and it was good. It was really good.
And game warden friends.
Yeah, our game. Yes, ma'am.
I just want to reiterate what Commissioner Aiken said. Thank you, Sheriff's Department, especially the judge, for allow me to use my telephone calling tree to warn all the neighbors that live on the creek. And thankfully, the summer didn't rise.
We spent some time together, didn't we? Okay, here's why I'm asking you. Miss Ocean, this is not being sarcastic. Show of hands, who really thinks we should save our water? Okay, which one of y'all do I need to appoint to the South Texas Water Advisory Committee? Who wants it? No takers? You want to go? Okay, here's the deal. So get with me after court. I need to get your name turned in to Mr. Middleton. I need for you to call him, and we're gonna have to go through some paperwork to swear you in. You're gonna meet once or twice a year, that's it. Okay? And you will, actually have a lot of interaction with all the water districts. Okay? All right, very good. So before we get through this, come on down, I'll give you the information. All right, entertain a motion to adjourn.
To adjourn.
Motion made by Commissioner King, second by Commissioner Thurdo. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned. 59 a.m.